All right, day after a Dolphins game, and certainly we can bring on some football royalty, Crowder, and help us. And it's not just to talk Dolphins from yesterday, but, Dolphins, short week for everyone, broadcasters included. By the way, if you're looking for Dolphins merch or Canes merch, Canes, number 10 in the nation, make sure you check out Caneswear in Davie. They're on University Drive next to Las Spadas. Check out all the gear online at caneswear.com. But Ryan Fitzpatrick is joining us. And Thursday night, it's Dolphins-Bills on Prime Video. Season 3 of Thursday Night Football kicks off Thursday night, Prime Video. Dolphins hosting the Bills, Hard Rock Stadium, a battle of two undefeated AFC East teams. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. with TNF tonight. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, who played quarterback almost 2 decades in the NFL, including a nice brief stint here with the Miami Dolphins, is joining us on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. Hello, Ryan.
Hey there. It did not look like for a while it was going to be a battle of two undefeated teams, did it? Those first halves were a bit iffy for both squads.
Two teams come from behind. Now Thursday night, we've got a good one. And obviously we'll all be watching on Prime Video. So kind of a slow start for the Dolphins yesterday. Then they do come back. They beat the Jags by a field goal. Did we learn something about the Dolphins yesterday? And probably I should ask, did we learn anything about the Bills yesterday as well?
Yeah, I learned a lot about the Dolphins. I don't think they're going to struggle to run the football this year. I think that was getting their rhythm, getting their feet under them. I don't think that's an offense we necessarily need to get used to. That being said, the two things I loved, one, they obviously have speed all over the field. So any play could turn into a touchdown or an explosive. We saw that with Waddle. Then we saw it with the 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek. And the second thing is belief in their guy, belief in Tua. He has taken so many steps since I was there in terms of his leadership. The contract always helps, but it's him, being vocal at halftime. That when I heard that, I was like, wait a minute. Tua's being vocal at halftime. I love that. I love to hear that. Guys responding to it. And I think this year with the additions that they made, especially on the defensive side, bringing in some experience, bringing in some older guys, just with that veteran leadership is going to go a long way. I think they missed some of that last year, and to be able to not only keep it together, but to come back and win that football game against the Jags, that showed me a lot in terms of where this defense, or really where this team is right now and what they can do this season.
And what kind of strides, because you were there with Tua, and we talked about it when you was in and out, you and him. What strides did you think Tua take that he couldn't do when y'all were playing together?
Yeah, I think the leadership one is huge. And, some of that, obviously I'm not there every day, but it is reading the interviews, listening to McDaniel talk to him, listening about his teammates talking to him, and even just the stances he's kind of taken in the media, a little more outspoken now. I call him Tattoo Tua. He's got those tats now that he didn't used to have. He's got a little edge to him. But it's been really enjoyable to watch. I think, with quarterbacks, the argument of guys getting drafted high and, is he elite? Is he not? The Joe Flacco ad nauseum, debate we've had for a long time. But Tua is elite in this offense with this play caller, with these players, and that's all that matters, right? I mean, they did a great job in bringing a coach in that knows what style he is, knows that he's great at anticipation, he's great at accuracy, and they're taking advantage of it because he's throwing these catch and run balls to these guys. So it's awesome to see. I'm so proud of him, so happy for him, and looking forward to seeing him on Thursday night.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick is with us Thursday night. Dolphins, Bills, Prime Video, 7 p.m. is when it all begins. Pregame. Tua ends up yesterday 23 of 37, 338 yards, 1 touchdown. Is that a harbinger of what we should expect from him this season? You've got Tyreek and Waddle. Devon Achane showed you yesterday like he's good. And Tua, are you feeling like, yeah, he should be able to throw for 300 yards a game?
Yeah, because, even if you look at yesterday, there were some struggles too, right? It wasn't always pretty, but we had the two big plays to Waddle and Tyreek that kind of broke the game open. But I would expect, completion percentage wise, he's going to be more accurate. He's going to have a better completion percentage than he did on Sunday when the season ends. But it is all about the explosiveness, and these guys are only going to get better and better. So I think, much more of, yes, the explosives that we saw on Sunday, the accuracy that we saw last year, and just attributing it to a lot of different guys.
And Fitzy, one thing I heard, and I've been arguing this for years, probably because I hated preseason because we made $700 a game, no matter what your salary was. But like these preseason games, they're overrated. They're overrated. Then I was watching some of those first halves yesterday. I was watching some of those offenses, and I was like, man. And then you even brought up Buffalo, who had to come back, Tua and the Dolphins, who had to come back. Where that did you watch the rust fall off? Because I was big into the hell with these preseason games, but offensively, I really saw it yesterday.
I think it's more important for an offense than a defense. I do think you can practice the flying around, the hitting, the tackling as a defense. But it is like, it's the rhythm, it's the timing. You saw false starts, quarterbacks' numbers were down. There weren't a whole lot of touchdown passes being thrown. I think you can attribute some of that to not playing in the preseason. Yes. Is Kirk Cousins going to continue to struggle like he did yesterday? I don't think so. Some of these guys that have new coordinators, some of these guys that are in new spots, or even have new pieces around them, they're going to continue to get better. But I'm with you, dude. I think not playing in the preseason, nobody wants to get hurt, but sometimes it's a necessary evil. But some of these guys, Joe Burrow has not gotten off to a great start now for however many years in a row that is. Hasn't really played much in the preseason. Will he continue to get better? I think, as we've seen historically, he will, but it has to be pointed out in some of these early season struggles with these quarterbacks.
Hey, Fitzy, going back to Tattoo Tua, you talk about his confidence. You love seeing him at halftime kind of stepping up and being a leader. He's had an interesting comment before the first game where they asked him about having an it factor, and he said, I always had the it factor. You spent a lot of time with him. Could you sense that from him? I know it kind of took him some time to really display all of everything that he was capable of at the NFL level. But I mean, the dude in college came in a national championship game and won it. So I can see where he always felt like he had it, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think with Tua, like, they're coming out of college, even going into college, but coming out of college, like, there's an aura around the dude. Like, there is. He's special. He's a special player, and he just wins. So I think, some of these things, it's interesting to hear him now voice them, to have kind of the confidence in the media to say some of these things. And to, even last year, like Ryan Clark talking about how he came in overweight, and Tua, taking issue with that. It's been nice to see. He's really come out of his shell. Some of that, again, the contract, great, but just more comfortable playing better. He's now a father. He's got a lot going on. It's just the maturity of Tua, and it's been really fun to see.
I should probably ask you something about having wide receiver number one, that you're going to target a lot, being detained by the police before the game, and how you would react to that. So remind me to get back to that, because something just popped into my head. Crowder, you remember when Fitzy was the quarterback with the Dolphins? You remember this, Solana? There was like a Dolphins. They did like 10 questions with you or something, the Dolphins social media. And I believe you said your favorite food was it chicken squares?
Chicken squares.
Chicken squares. And we were like confused for 2 years as to what a chicken square was. And I don't know why this just popped into my head. Well, I do know why. This is where my head goes.
But are you craving chicken sandwiches right now?
I don't know what a chicken square is. And we even brought on Ross Tucker to try to get to you to try to figure out what chicken squares were. What are chicken squares? And are they really your favorite food?
They really are. The chicken square was introduced to me by another former Dolphins quarterback, actually, Gus Frerotte and his wife, Annie. When I was drafted by St. Louis, we used to go over to their house quite a bit. He was a great mentor, and still is a great mentor to me. And it's like a croissant with chicken and so much gooey goodness inside. You close the croissant, you bake them, and you eat them. And it's all my kids' favorite food. We've been living on them for the last 20 years. You know what? I'll have to have my wife bake you sometime. We'll
I
get
mean,
you all hooked
literally,
up. They're
I am
phenomenal. They're
standing
phenomenal.
at my mailbox right now. I can't try. It actually sounds delicious, doesn't it, Crowder? So the chicken is baked into the croissant like a puff pastry almost.
Yeah, but it's something you can hold. If you can hold it in your hand and eat it almost like a slice of pizza. It's beautiful. Thank you, Annie Farad.
It's a pot pocket, a hot pocket. Fitzy, you make too much damn money, man. What are you eating that for? You eating the hot pockets, bro?
Oh, it's so good. You know, sometimes old habits die hard. You know, you can't change, man.
That sounds delicious. That was worth the wait. It's not a hot pocket. It's a croissant, which is so much flakier than a hot pocket.
I thought where you were going with that. I did like a little ad for Shake Shack on Sunday where I posed with a chicken sandwich. I thought that's where you were going with that. If you haven't
I didn't see that.
Go ahead and look it up and you'll be craving chicken sandwiches all day, I'm sure.
All right, fair enough. I love Shake Shack. They have a underrated chicken there. Everyone thinks about them for burgers. They have underrated chicken.
I would say it might be, what's the NSFW, not suitable for work? Is that?
Yeah.
Just be careful with whose eyes are on your computer
all right.
screen. When
fair enough. Fair enough. And then if my wife, listen, it's show research. I don't know what to tell you.
Gotta do it.
Well, I have a lot to explain. What would you say? I should go back to it. What would you say? You get to work and your best wide receiver has been detained by the police. It's national news. What would you say to him in the locker room?
Well, I think the first thing is you make sure he's okay. And then me and just my personality, I would assume maybe Mike McDaniel would be similar. I try to, as long as I felt like he was okay, like maybe make light of it, joke about it a little bit. And you saw that on the field when he scored and Waddle did they did the handcuff thing. But that's obviously a serious situation you never want to see. And now everything coming out like Calais Campbell, this is going to be one of those things that galvanizes his team a little bit. Calais Campbell pulls over, sticks up for his buddy, and gets put in cuffs as well. It's a crazy situation, but something that the team can rally around, because that's all we've been hearing out of Miami is how close this team is, how they've really come together. And, that's a moment that maybe, hopefully some good can come out of that you can point to and say, look, this is when we knew we had each other's backs.
And for speaking of that, with the new age of player, because I cover the league and all that, like these guys they can be themselves. You were quiet, I would say, and then you started getting, you got a little vet and savvy to yourself, and then you got to Miami, and we really got to know you and how funny and the dry humor you would just throw out in the media, even though we'd understand a lot of people wouldn't. Like that thought of like having the league or the teams over your head. Are these young guys like CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams and just these younger players, is it not like that for them anymore? Because they seem like they say what the hell's on their mind.
It's amazing. I mean, just thinking back, Channing, when we were playing, and like even like 10, 15 years ago, New England, and how you could, just the way it was and kind of the New England way, kind of everybody started adopting that. And it's fine, team first mantra and all that, but not being able to be an individual. I think you've really seen a shift. And even with the NFL and, Ocho Cinco played with him in Cincy, and like Ocho used to get fined all the time for celebrations. Now they're encouraged. Now the team celebrations are encouraged by the NFL. So there have been some changes. The thing that it comes down to, though, is like you have to perform on the field. You still have to perform on the field in order for what you're saying and what you're doing to be relevant. So, what CJ Stroud says and does is extremely relevant because of the way he plays on the field and the way he backs it up. I think it is, guys can be themselves. We can see their personalities. There's more platforms for them to be able to do it, easier access to it. And, I think it's great because it gives the fans more of an insider's view on the daily lives of some of our favorite players.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, this Thursday night, season 3, Thursday night football kicks off. Prime Video, Dolphins and Bills, Hard Rock Stadium, 2 undefeated teams, and coverage begins Thursday, 7 p.m. with TNF tonight. Thank you for making time for us today, Fitzy.
All right. Thanks, guys.